And today I'm presenting to you what Parkinson's disease is. So many of you will be asking yourself what Parkinson's disease is. Parkinson's disease is basically is prominent in our elderly people and is basically damage of the nervous system causing the loss of memory or the loss of everyday functions such as like taking out the trash or playing the piano or driving a car. Though things like that is what Parkinson's disease is. It's like when they lose the memory on how to work everyday things. Also, it's a progressive neurological disorder that primarily affects the central nervous system and is characterized by the gradual loss of dopamine producing nervous cells in specific regions of the brain called substrigna nigra. There are two main risk factors of Parkinson's disease. One risk factor is genetic factors. Contained genetic mutations and variation have been linked to increase a risk of developing Parkinson's disease. These genetic factors account for a small percentage of causes, often referred to as familial or genetic Parkinson's disease. What basically is saying is that Parkinson's disease can be passed down from generation to generation. It may not be dominant within your bloodline, but later down the road, perhaps maybe your children or your children's children may be at more risk to receive Parkinson's disease. Another risk factor is dopamine depletion. Parkinson's disease, like I mentioned in the slide before, the loss of dopamine can be a result of Parkinson's disease. And here it says Parkinson's disease is characterized by the progressive loss of dopamine producing nervous neurons in substrate niagara regions of the brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter responsible for facilitating smooth, coordinated movements. When dopamine levels decline, the brain's communication pathways related to movement become impaired, leading to the motor symptoms of Parkinson's disease. So again, the loss of dopamine may cause more risks to Parkinson's disease, but it may not be prominent in your generation, but maybe down the line or earlier before you, it was more prominent then. There are there are many symptoms and progressions of Parkinson's disease. For example, motor systems, tremors involved in symptoms that Parkinson's disease are a result of are involuntary shaking, usual stating in the hands, fingers, or arms while at rest. That's basically saying that as you get older, you start to lose control of the feeling is your hand, not the feeling, but control the movements of your hands. Shown in like more elderly people, or not only elderly people, but people say like middle aged people. When your hands start shaking prominently, those could be symptoms of it. Also, stiffness in muscles leading to decreased range of motion and feeling of resistance during movement. That's also related to involuntary shaking. When you're basically losing control of your muscles, that's basically saying that your nervous system is out of control and you don't really have full control over it. And disease progression, Parkinson's disease typically progresses through several stages. But in this presentation, I only go through about two stages. So stage one will be mild symptoms that often affect only one side of the body. So say you lose control on the left half of your body, but the right side is completely fine. And in stage two, symptoms can affect both sides of the body, but a person can still perform daily activities independently. So going back to the involuntary shaking, you could have involuntary shaking throughout your body, well, mostly in the hands and fingers, but it won't completely stop you from doing everyday activities, but it will definitely be a challenge to you. Diagnostics and differential diagnostics. Several conditions may have similar symptoms to Parkinson's disease, making it crucial to distinguish between them. Some common conditions are considered through differential diagnostic process, including essential tumor, essential tumor, which is this common movement disorder primarily causes tremors similar to the resting tremors seen in Parkinson's disease, resulting in involuntary shaking or loss of muscle control. Also, the multiple system atrophy, which is shortened down to acronym MSA. MSA is another new neurodegenerative disorder that can mimic some Parkinson's symptoms, but usually has more rapid progression, meaning that it could be a lot way worse than just involuntary shaking. Like the symptoms that you see now, it could be a lot way worse than that through this diagnostic system. All right, so now that we're getting to the treatments, some treatments for Parkinson's diseases may not always be the concluding of the disease, but it could take you steps to healing. For example, medication like Lopoda, which is most effective and commonly prescribed medication for Parkinson's disease, is converted into dopamine for the brain. And that means that the dopamine loss that you had prior is now starting to come back through the medication, helping to replenish dopamine levels, alternative motor systems. Also, another form of road to healing will be therapy. Physical therapy can improve mobility, flexibility, and strengthening, enabling patients to maintain their ability to perform everyday activities, ruling out the involuntary shaking, so you'll have more control in your muscles. Okay, on to my conclusion. In my conclusion, I want to send a message to everybody watching that raising awareness and understanding Parkinson's disease is no joke. And raising awareness for it, it really empowers people to do their best in healing, and like it motivates others to do their best when it comes to getting back on their feet, because having Parkinson's disease is not an exciting thing to hear every day, but through the road of healing and recent awareness, it could be the best thing that ever happened to you.